YouTube, and hello world. My name is Ellington, and I am a member of the group Backseat Generals. Today is going to be my first battle replay that I'm going to bring to you guys. And we have a 4v4 on Rome Total War 2 on the settlement of Alexandria. So let's go ahead and give you guys a layout of the attackers and defenders. So the first attacker we've got is right here, Epirus, and Epirus today is commanded by Roboloafer. Roboloafer is also known as Gorm Mjolnir, who is one of the other backseat generals. Right next to Gorm or Roboloafer, we have Carthage. And Carthage today is commanded by Honey Badger. Now, all the way over on this side, we've got two different armies in this area. We've got Boii with the bright green flags. Boii is commanded by Shag the Sandman, and Tylus right behind him. Tylus here is commanded by Reaper 8675309. Now on to defense. Defense right here on the defender side, we've got Lusitani. Lusitani is commanded by Dave the Vassal. And right there behind Dave is Seleucid. Now Seleucid is commanded by none other than myself. Now all the way back over on this side, we have another Epirus. I guess Epirus is going through a civil war. They're fighting each other. They're all pissed off at each other, so they're going to duke it out in Alexandria. And Epirus is commanded by Rags. The last defender over here that we've got is Swaby. Now, Swaby today is defended by over a dramatic nerd. So that completes the commanders of the armies, and as we go through the video, I'm going to give you some a little bit more in the way of like their army comps, things like that, because this one's going to start off pretty quick. So right off the bat, we've got Lusitani's ballista here going after this tortoise over here. You can take out these tortoises in these sieges. That can be a huge deal because it can really, it takes away an avenue of attack for the attackers. You take out that, and then all they're left with is a couple siege towers and another tortoise. You take out one, and hey, it's a start. So, looks like Epirus is going to be moving up here. Looks like they'll be taking on over Dramatic Nerd and Swaby. Now let's see on this other side if Carthage is also moving up. Yeah, now Carthage is this isn't fun right here. You got 5 tortoises here. These tortoises are going to go up to this wall, and they're going to literally just bust down holes in these walls and create big gaps to go through. That's a little bit easier for troops to get through typically than getting up onto the wall, because when you get up on the wall, the issue you run into is when you're on this wall up here, you are completely exposed to things like archer fire, or these guys right here. Throw spears have a pretty, they've got some javies, so javelin throws, they have a really clean shot right up to the top of that wall. Now, let's go back over to Tylus and Boii. Yeah, they're also they're starting to push their stuff up. They've got a good mixture of stuff here. They've got some tortoises and they've got some towers. Now, the issue that I find is that this wall right here isn't that big, you know. So we'll see how that kind of turns out for them. Now, do have some cav movement happening here. So it looks like I'm moving my cavalry out through this gate. Those sharp stone beds kind of slow you down, and so that kind of took away a little of that impetus of that charge. Now it looks like I'm going to be coming out here. Let's see. So this battle is actually one of the first battles I did after I got back into Rome 2. So it's actually been a little while since I actually played this. I don't really remember what's going on yet. So it looks like I'm going to take this cav, and looks like I'm attacking the troops on these towers. The bonus to that is when you attack the troops that are holding these towers, or the tortoises, they will automatically get off of the tower. And what's nice about that is it really slows down that advance because they have to stop to respond, then they have to get back onto the tower. A Cav, it looks like they're just kind of wreaking some havoc. They don't have a ton of kills, um, but you know, sometimes with a sally out, it's not always about the kills, but it sometimes just slowing down the enemy can really do its own damage. Because if these guys are slowed down, but these guys are still advancing into the city, then the attack is off kilter. You know, you have part of the attackers are going in while the other part they're stalled. So it kind of creates a little bit of an issue. Now these cav here, they're going to go after these archers. The archers are really a prime target that you want to go for if you can with your cavalry. One, you can rack up some serious kills with it, but number two, if you don't have archers, it's really hard to win. Archers or slingers, range units. We really need these guys for when you're in this city to really pepper down defensive points, choke points, things like that. Especially when you're playing two different factions that are going to be bringing pikes. Um, you know, the rules we play with really typically only allow for 2 pikes per person. But when you have 2 different factions with pikes, that's 4 units of pikes right there. And pikes without range units are really hard to get through. If you don't have range units or javelins, it's pretty hard to get through those pike lines. So this army back here has kind of been stalled a little bit, but it looks like you can see they are back onto their siege towers and tortoises and are moving up. So we're going to move back over to Epirus and Carthage over here. Now Carthage is moving up. They're getting pretty close. Now this is a smart idea here. He's going to bust down a couple holes here, but he's also going to bust down a couple holes over here, it looks like. Now what that's going to cause Epirus to do is they're going to have to split their defenses and micro on 2 different areas. It just splits up the army, splits up the focus of fire, because if you're in 2 different spots, they can't focus down that fire quite as much. Now in this gate, this is kind of a nasty setup right here. So right here you got your hoplites. Troops that come through this gate, those hoplites are going to take the brunt of that, and that's what hoplites do best. But on the sides here, you have 2 units of these things called Royal Peltis. Royal Peltis are a pretty solid sword unit, but they also carry javies, and by standing here on the flanks, those javies will come in on your sides and just completely tear up your units as they're coming through this gate. That's a good setup right there. Also, those caltrops will stop any elephants or cav from charging through here. It's a good move by Rags here. Now, sounds like we've got a, yep, see, this wall's about to drop here. They've already got one coming down with 2 more tortoises on their way. Now here, you know, these thorough spears, they really do have a good angle here, but I don't think that this is probably the best unit to be going after. It's just a unit of mercenary Italian swords, and I think there's probably better units you could save those javelins for. Now look at that, that's a pretty massive breach. That's going to be kind of a pain in the butt to fill up, because you can't just stick 1 unit right there. Now you got to stick probably 2. See how Swaby is doing. Swaby is facing off on against Epirus on this wall. Looks like, you know, looks like Epirus did lose his tortoise, so he's kind of in a sticky situation. He doesn't really have a great place to go. What's really nice here is we have a great archer setup right here. Any troops that get onto this wall up here, these archers are going to have a great angle to get volleys down on them. Now, don't know. I'm not sure exactly what Epirus's plan is at this moment. You know, he's kind of in a sore spot just because he's got to decide, does he have enough troops to take this from Swaby and Seleucid? So I don't know. We'll come back to that side and see how it's going. Now, it looks like Carthage did charge through with some mercenary Gaelic warriors, but they're getting hit on the side by these mercenary Italian swords. It looks like Rags here, he's took his throw spears and he put him in these square formations. These square formations are really, really hard to get through. They're very incredibly defensive and they can fight off on all sides of the square. It's a smart move in some ways, but it can also be really risky because the squares are they're not mobile. You cannot move them. So now that they're there, to move them, he would have to take them out of it. Looks like he's going to pull that one off of that stairwell there. This side looks pretty good so far as well. Now Empress looks like he's going to try and be sneaky here. He's got some cav here. He might be trying to sneak in here or in here and get around some of these units because there is a gap. It's probably not a great idea just because he'd get focused down from a couple sides if he tried that. Let's go see how it's going over this way. So it looks like Tylus and Bowie have opened up some walls here. Looks like they're pouring through. Now, Bowie right here, he's taking on Lusitani. Lusitani is actually one of my favorite factions in the game. They're very low armored, so you want to be careful against things like archers or slingers, things like that, because they will chew them up. When it comes to a melee fight, they can really hold their own. They do incredibly well. These Iberian swordsmen are pretty good army filler. They're not very expensive. They're not going to wow you with numbers, but they do pretty well at holding, and they are a good first line of defense before you throw in things like these guys, like the veteran shield warriors. These guys are an excellent unit right here. Yeah, Lusitani is one of my favorites. I'm a big fan of them. Now here on this gap, it looks like I've got my thorax swords taking the brunt of this, while these Iberian swords are going to take them from the flank. But not only that, they got a good jabby shot into that, so they got about 11 kills from that, which is pretty handy. Looks like it's basically a 2v2 at that point. Veteran shield warriors are kind of getting peppered down a tiny bit here. Looks like they're not taking any damage though. Now I've got a couple units here ready to move in, and I also have some archers ready to support as well. But right now it looks like Lusitani is doing alright. Right over here, he's got a unit that is holding off a couple of Tylus and Bowie's units. These veteran shield warriors, they're doing alright. They're holding that spot. And then he's got some slingers giving support up to the wall. That's a good angle. He's got a clear shot all the way to that wall right there. I think that's a good target for him. Because you got the Oathsworn. Yeah, Oathsworn, you definitely want to focus those down from far away if you possibly can. Save you some death. Let's go back to this side. Empress so far looks to be holding pretty good. Now what's interesting is it looks like that the attacking Empress decided that he didn't have the forces to take that wall from Swaby. So he's kind of making an interesting move. So he's moving his stuff over this way to take on Carthage. So instead of Carthage to take on the defending Empress. So instead of the defending Empress fighting just Carthage with a little bit of support from me, now he's going to be taking on two armies, which is that's a good job of flipping the script. You know, it really flips things around and makes it where we're on the back foot now. I do have some units here to support, but look at this. This breach right here is completely unblocked. Something needs to come over here. I don't know if these... I should be sending those thorax swords there. I'm not really sure where I'm sending them, but they should be going right over this way. This formation here is really kind of getting pelted down by these archers outside. Let's see. Right here, looks like we're winning on that spot. The thorough spears, if you use these guys right, they can be pretty effective. I really think probably their strongest part is their javelins that they can throw. But if you need something to kind of hold the line for a long time or for a decent amount of time, those throw spears are a good choice. Just don't expect them to wow you with any like crazy amounts of kills. That's just not what they do. Swaby looks like they're starting to move a lot of their infantry over this way, which is a good move. You know, he's not facing over anything over here, so he really needs to get his stuff back into the action on the other side of the battle. It looks like I'm also doing the same thing and moving a lot of my units back into the threat areas where they can be more useful. Um, yeah, so far this side's looking alright as well. What's cool about this, I really don't like attacking this part of the city on Alexandria, because when you're attacking, you're very limited to very small choke points and very narrow walls. Now, the issue with that is that the defenders here can set up all they want right in here. So those throw spears, they can just sit there and throw their javelins at you. Then they can have archers back here shooting you. And it's a pretty vicious onslaught. It is not fun to experience, and that can be, it really makes attacking this area is just not fun. It's pretty disgusting, actually. I mean, attacking any of these breaches is, but this particular area I'm personally not a huge fan of. But you don't really have as much of a choice because you gotta find a place to attack. You know, a lot of these settlements have these slums outside the walls, and you can't put siege equipment up there, which means you're stuck with certain places where you can put your siege equipment down. Now over here, I had moved my archers forward. I wanted to put them right here to get some really good flanking shots over here. But I was looking at a different part of the map, and I didn't realize that these tribal warriors had gotten through. So Dave over here was yelling at me like, you know, hey man, move your archers, move your archers. And I had to come back here and like get them out of there before I lost my archers. It was kind of embarrassing, but you know, that's all right. My archers made it. So my thorax swords, they're holding up all right. They've got 71 kills. I think I was going to go over here and try and get a flank, but I noticed that, you know, Dave was losing here. He really needed some support to help protect these Balearic slingers. So I actually decided to move this thorax sword back this way to help basically fill this gap so that these units can't get through to the slingers. Because once again, the slingers, they will do a great job. You know, they're already at 60 kills, you know. Over here, Dave's doing a good job with his general. He really saved my butt by putting that general in there. He saved my archers and his own slingers from getting killed by those tribal warriors just sneaking straight through. Looks like I'm also moving a thorough spear over to this side, but yeah, never mind. We're changing, and I think we decided to give this side up just because we didn't. There wasn't enough troops. Too many gaps here to cover against this many units. I think we just decided, you know, just abandon that spot. So we'll go back to this side. Carthage and man, you know, defending Epirus has really given Carthage and the attacking Epirus just a hell of a time here. You know, they're making progress, they're making kills, but man, they are making it really hard. It seems like every time they push something through, there's always a unit to respond to it, which is really what you want. You need to make sure that if there's a gap that opens, you need to have a unit to respond and plug the gap. These archers here, looks like they're getting some good angles here because he got 50 kills on this guy and 80 on this one. So that's a good amount of kills for those archers so far. My own are 46 and 28. They're doing all right, you know, getting some kills here and there, but you know they don't have a great angle. Doesn't look like. So these thorax swords up to 94 kills. I'll take that on the thorax sword for right now, especially it's still decently healthy. 86 out of 160. It's not quite half health, but it's still alive. These thorough spears, 105 for a thorough spear. That I would definitely take that. These thorough spears are really getting a nice shot off. That's a good angle there. All right, but it looks like they should hold their fire now. It's like I'm starting to move some of my units back to deal with this other side since we're having to fall back. But look at that. So Boei, since we gave up this area, Boei had a clean shot over this way. Now, if you see, there was nothing there to defend this area. So Boei is going to try and sneak in here and hit the flank of this. Um, Looks like Epirus here is going to square up and, you know, he's got some good archer fire coming here. I've got a set of my pikes here. This is a good angle for the archers to get in. Now, my pikes are not in formation. They're taking volleys of javelins, and they're also not in formation with their pikes out, and that's not good. Now the archers are still getting a good flanking shot here, but these pikes should really be in pike formation. And also, it looks like Overdramatic Nerd is going to bring in his berserkers to do some damage. Those berserkers can really, they can really change a fight just by charging in there. They can make a big difference in that fight. But of course, I did get my pikes out, which is good. You know, those pikes, you really want to have those pikes deployed where they're in combat. Otherwise, they'll get chewed up just because that's not really what they're made for. You know, Carthage has units left. Epirus has some units left, but in reality, this side of the bafield's pretty much done. You know, both sides, attacking and defending, were pretty beat up on this side. Swaby looks like they pulled everything to the other side, which is good. Now on this side, alright, so on this side I've got a unit of Thorough Spears here holding this line. I think at one point I had my general in that spot and was able to swap those units out, luckily, before the general took too much damage. You know, you got to be careful with your general. You really want to make sure you're holding on enough that you can keep the morale bonus, but also use his abilities. It looks like I'm moving a pike unit to this back area, because you can actually go through this back area, back around here, right back to the enemies. So you have to watch this area so that units don't sneak back behind and get into your archers, the soft underbelly of your defense. Because if you look at it, there's units here, but everything right here is all soft, vulnerable archers, and you don't want anything getting in there. So I'm setting my pikes right here. You know, pikes, once again, if you don't have an archer or javelin unit, there's really no way to get through it unless they have a better pike unit than you do. That's also another good way. But typically pikes with no, like, when there's no archers against them, they will dominate the battlefield. So now it looks like I sent in a thorax sword to support these thorough spears, because those thorough spears broke. And I should probably have something else going in there. You know, these archers are shooting into this combat, which honestly isn't the greatest place because you don't have a very good angle. So honestly, those archers are probably getting some decent friendly fire there, which is obviously not a good thing. Okay, so now I'm using these thorough spears that I was able to get back from the other side of the field. I'm getting them into formation. I probably should have waited a sec on them to let them get refreshed a little bit. See, this one's exhausted, this one's tired. Obviously, the more exhausted your troops are, the worse they fight. So when you have an exhausted unit, they just don't perform as well. So some of my units here have been doing a lot of running back and forth, and they're tired. So I probably should have saved them a little bit so they could rest up. Now, this is kind of a mistake right here, and we should have realized this. We have all of our archers here all kind of clumped on top of each other. The issue with that is that when all the archers are clumped together like this, not all of them fire because they need to be cleared up. So you'll see that like this section of these slingers will fire, but a lot of these guys won't because they're all clumped on top of each other. And we should have fixed that. We should have realized what was going on because they can't use their full potential like this. So looks like Epirus and Tylus are still kind of causing some issues over here, being annoying. They've got some archer support there. They actually have a pretty sizable force that looks like it's ready to wrap around this side. Eberus should probably get its units moving to the side to counter that. Looks like I've got a thorax sword, and once again, you see they're exhausted. I should really be slowing them down and walking them. This tiny unit of tribal warriors is sneaking through the back here. So on the back side, these Celtic warriors look like they're going to come in at the pikes. Now, see, they do have javelins, and see, it's going to do some damage to me. Once those javelins are gone, that's it. What Swaby's going to do here, Swaby is actually going to charge straight through with these wolf warriors and go right after those Celtic warriors. Those Celtic warriors really can't do anything against the wolf warriors and the berserkers, things like that. He does have Oathsworn back here, which Oathsworn are good. The thing that I need to worry about with my pikes is you can go up this tower and walk down this wall right here and go right there. But Swaby thought about that. He's got a wolf warrior sitting up here to cover that staircase so that I don't get flanked behind my pikes, which is it was a smart move by him. I hadn't even realized it when I played this, if I remember correctly. And so it was a smart play by Nerd to get that covered. So now you can see that this line here is completely committed now. You know, it is getting pushed. There's, what, 5 enemy units in here? But what's happening in the process is they are just getting melted by arrows. This archer and slinger fire is just unrelentless. We should probably be looking for some better targets here. You know, there's some archers here that we should really be going for. The thing is, the slingers can only shoot at a flat arc, which means that they can't shoot over these houses. But these archers can shoot over them. So these archers are shooting over, but the slingers can't shoot back. So our archers really need to be zoning these guys out with their own archer fire. And you can see that they've been doing some damage to the archers over here, which is good. You know, they're taking some pretty good casualties, so it looks like we finally started focusing these guys down. One thing to look for with the archers, look carefully before you start shooting them. If they have a bow in their hand, that means that they still have ammo, obviously. But if you look at them and they have a little dagger in their hand, that tells you that they're out of ammo, and there's really no point in shooting and wasting ammo on an archer that's out of ammo. It's pointless. It wastes your ammo when the ammo can be used on better targets. But it looks like most of their archers still do have ammo. These wolf warriors over here are still doing some business against this Oathsworn. The Oathsworn's really putting up some kills. 171 kills, 174, 5. You know, they're really putting up some kills against them. Now, the wolf warriors are at 111, but they're getting up by archers and the Oathsworn, so they're probably, yeah, they're breaking there. Now the pikes here, they're still standing ready to guard this flank, so let's see how that back edge is going against Boei and Epirus. Alright guys, sorry about that. My game crashed, so yippee for an old game. Anyways, on this back side, it looks like Swaby and Epirus are holding this up pretty well. There's still a couple units back this way, including some Celtic bowmen, so we'll see how that turns out, see if they push more units back to this back side here. Front side, looks like they pulled off that front, the center line here. I've got my pikes there. They probably disengaged from that because that's a bad engagement if you don't have pikes. This could be a fortunate move. Looks like we missed something here, so there's a lot of dead pikes here and there's archers. So I think what happened here was my pikes were in line here and these archers were really shooting them because I didn't have any archer support. And as you can see, we've got some movement now to counter those guys. So what I had done is I moved my pikes back behind this building here so that so they would kind of get out of that angle of fire. And my archers, I can probably pull those back. They're a little exposed here, but I think I wanted to get some good close shots against these Celtic warriors. And yeah, now I'm moving back, and I'm probably gonna move those pikes back in here in a moment. Looks like Swaby's moving his bows up. Let's see. They might be out of ammo on those guys. Epirus has a pikeman sitting here ready to move. I've got my pikes ready to move. I probably move my pikes out of the way just because of the archers. They save some lives. Yeah, because they lost quite a bit there. Now look at that death. That's crazy. That's nasty right there. Oh wow, look at that. So Epirus and Swaby are actually pushing onto this backside here. They're actually pushing against Tylus. Tylus should probably move some units over here. You know, there's actually not a lot over this way. If Tylus moves some healthy units here, they could probably do some damage there. Or they lose this flank, and that's a huge issue for them. Okay, well, okay, so they're sending 25 men, and that's a healthy unit. So that's a healthy unit that they're moving there. What is it? What do they have left? Okay, so they've got these guys. Two completely healthy units of tribal warriors. Should move these guys somewhere. Move them to the back or something. Why are they sitting here? They shouldn't be there. Carthage also has a couple units. Hoplites. Mercenary noble fighters. Those noble fighters are good stuff. They'll do some damage. Here's some archers. Looks like the archers are out of ammo. See the little daggers in their hands? That tells you they're out of ammo. And they still have some archers over this way. It looks like they're going to continue trying to fire into the archers and pikes on this side. Looks like the Oathsworn tried to charge the pikes, and I don't think it went very well. Gosh, that's Oathsworn. 228 kills. That's not fun at all. Pikes, really only at 17, but they haven't really fought anything. Been shot up a bunch, but they haven't really fought anything. I think our archers are trying to shoot back. What I should have done is probably got onto this building. Some of these buildings you can actually put your archers onto them. So I probably should have done that to get an angle against his archers, but this was months ago, so can't really go back and change it. So the late Carthaginian hoplites are kind of just sitting there having a staring contest with all these forces. You know, it doesn't look like they're going anywhere anytime soon. And they're taking fire, so they're probably going to get pretty beat up here, you know, as they sit there. You know, these units here should probably doing something. If I was Tylus, I'd have these two units push the back end and see if I can wrap that up. Wrap around here, wrap around the back, and throw off our entire defense. Because right now, the only thing that's here, we got 2 units, but it's clogging up a bunch of stuff here. You know, a couple more units could probably do some damage on this side, because these units from Epirus they're pretty beat up. Look at that Royal Peltis unit, 372 kills. That's crazy. He definitely got the worth out of those guys. Got some hoplites here. You know what? 134 kills for a hoplite. I will take that. That's good stuff, man. Epirus looks like he's brought most of his units back to the back here. Oh, man. And his general is a Hellenic Royal Guard. Hellenic Royal Guard are some of the best pikes in the game. And these guys aren't even touched. They haven't even been touched. Which means that we have a full pike unit. A pike unit that's one of the best in the game that hasn't even been in combat yet. That is not a good sign. All these archers are out of ammo. That's... Yeah, you can see that the bad signs for the attackers are really just adding up here. They just don't really have much to take this defense, you know. Tylus is trying to move his Oathsworn over this way, but I'm not exactly sure where he wants to go with them. You know, you got pikes, you've got archers, slingers, all ready to cover that position, and we have units to respond with it. Looks like Bowie sent his general over here to try and keep this line steady so that they can go out and break. But I don't think he knows whether he wants to be on this side or this side because they both kind of need him. But yeah, as you can see, this is just kind of, it's not looking great at this moment. You know, it looks like most of their archers are out of ammo. If they aren't, they're pretty depleted. This guy's 106 out of 120, and he's got his bow, so he still has ammo, but he's got about 6 units to deal with. Now, we've got a lot, and these archers and slingers have done some damage. 142, 151, 231, 77, 157, 161. Yeah, these archers here have done a great job. These Cimbri bowmen are pretty impressive. They're archers who carry spears, and that means that they can actually be kind of nasty against cavalry. It's kind of a crazy little combination there. Sword masters. Yeah, this defense, like the defenders here, we have a lot of troops left, and really haven't really made much of a push, unfortunately. Yeah. So these archers are really just going to open fire while they're just sitting here, because these late Libyan hoplites, they can't really too far forward yet because of the other hoplites that are in the way. So they're kind of sitting there just getting eaten up by all these archers. And I think these Cimbri bowmen are out of ammo, so he's just going to charge them in to fill that line. And now I've got my pikes moving in. They're probably going to fill in that spot. I don't know why I pulled them back. I don't know if maybe I didn't realize that his archers were out of ammo and maybe was scared of that. I'm not sure, but my pikes, I really should have just put my pikes in there, because these guys, they can't do anything with pikes. So in this kind of combat, those pikes would just rack up kills because there's nothing to stop them. My general is a royal peltist. Looks like he took one casualty somehow. Must have been maybe an archer shot. The backside. Let's see. Got Tylus and Bowie are still pushing this area. You know, this is combat even. This is kind of an interesting spot. If they had more support here, they might be able to do, like I said earlier, they could probably do some damage here. Bowie charging his general really doesn't help anything, because he really just charged the backs of his own men. He didn't really charge the enemy. And so the fact that his allies were in front of him really broke the charge. His charge didn't really do anything because they didn't really hit anything. It looks like Reaper finally put one of his tribal warrior units over this way. But once again, he's still got him back here. I'm okay with that though, because he can't join quite yet because it's a full line there. But he does have a unit to move in ready, so that's good. Middle area, once again, I should just move my pikes in, but they're just going to sit there. But this middle line is, it's getting pushed hard, but there's just too much here. I don't think there really is a chance, an opportunity to break through this. He's got 2 units of pikes that he could put in as well, so let's see. These noble fighters, those noble fighters, I said, they just hit 199 kills. That is something that if you have an infantry unit that hits almost 200 kills, you did pretty good. That is something you can walk away happy about. Now, obviously, happier if you win the battle, but you win the battle by most of the time by your people getting a lot of kills. So now what's going to happen back here, it looks like Swaby's going to try and take a couple of units back behind here and try and flank the backside, because if he can flank the backside, it will cause these units to rout. If they rout, then it's more likely that this other side is going to rout. I think looks like Tylus is going to try and stop that with one of those full units he's got. He's going to move them behind and try and cut them down. But these sword masters, they're going to be tough to deal with. They've got 93 kills and they're still at 144. So they're still a healthy unit with the ability that they can do some damage here. So they're going to move them right through here. This side is still kind of a stalemate. You know, Reaper did move his tribal warriors up to back up this line, but it's still just, this whole line's just not really going anywhere right now. Alright, so Reaper did turn around his general to deal with these sword masters. Now the issue with that is that now his general's backs are exposed to the archer fire, and that's just going to do massive damage. See, they're already, if you just watch, you watch their numbers drop like crazy. 102, you know, just that one volley, now they're 89, you know, and as the volleys get worse and worse, they're just going to do more damage. Now, Reaper's going to take this other unit, and looks like he's maybe going to try and catch the sword masters from behind, maybe? It looks like Carthage is going to do a smart job. They're going to try and protect Tylus's general by putting their men in the way. It doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Looks like their men are going to, that he's going to break before they could do that. But it was a good idea to allow his lesser units to take the brunt of that archer fire rather than the general. The swordmaster's up to 180 already. That's whew. They just really chewed through that general. And now I think we just decided to pour it in. You know, we could see the light at the end of the tunnel. We knew that this battle was basically over, and so we said push it through. You know, so our units are going to push into this. I think my archers were probably out of ammo, so I charged them in because I really didn't have a whole lot of infantry left besides my pikes. So I really didn't have much else to throw in there besides those archers. Swaby still has his Swordmaster General. I think what he's probably trying to do... Okay, he's going to try and get through the side here. Which, it's a good angle to go to. You know, if you can... more angles you can get out of a unit, the better. You can get behind them, that's better, so because you can rack up more kills, but you also have a better chance of routing the unit. I don't know where we're going, where I'm going. I should continue to engage these tribal warriors from behind. Oh, that's probably what it is, the slinger fire. Opening up the backs for the slingers. Now it looks like Rags is going to take his pikes and he's going to come back behind this line over here. And that's going to cause some breakage, but also they're going to be sandwiched. So this is going to do a lot of damage here once he gets set up. Looks like the center area is done. Looks like most of them are breaking. Swordmasters are breaking as well, but it looks like Tylus broke first, which means I think that Tylus is... yeah, I think Tylus is out. Honestly, I think the only unit we have left on the battlefield is Bowiei. Bowie's general here, Noble Horse, 40 kills, 41 out of 80, so he's about half strength. Looks like that guy's coming in. Looks like he might go for a counter charge. Now, what I would not do here is he's in the triangle formation. It's not really a very good formation to use against infantry. I would probably go back to the square or the broad front, so you can get a good heavy charge on the front of those guys. That diamond or the triangle formation really seems to be much better against enemy cavalry, not against enemy infantry. Well, guys, I think that is it. He's breaking, and once he's gone, it's up. So that is it for that one. So let's go and check out the kills. So looks like on the defender's side, Rags here had the most kills at 2,200, with Overdramatic Nerd at 2,000. Dave at 1900, and myself at 15. You know, my Cav didn't have great kills, but they slowed him down a little bit. Rags here, man, he really racked up kills by taking on those three armies. 318 on one, Royal Peltis, 399 on the other. That's pretty good stuff. Dave here, Dave really kind of took on two armies as well. His slingers did great, and then some of his veteran shield warriors did pretty good as well. His noble fighters here, 250. Overdrag nerd. His archers did great. The thing that I don't like about this army is I think he really went higher quality, less quantity, and he sacrificed a tiny bit of quality to get more infantry. It would have been really helpful because he would have had more units to use. Epirus over here, Epirus, he kind of had a bad spot. That side of the city he was on is really hard to attack on, and then losing that tortoise just really messes things up. So he had 1,100 kills. Shag the Sandman had 2,500. His army did really good. Those Oathsworn did solid, 280. His Celtic warriors all did good, 229, 55 there. His archers did pretty solid, 211, 205. Honey Badger here. Honey Badger, he was one of the guys who was on that really just terrible place to attack. Man, I hate that place. But his mercenaries, so noble fighters, ended up at 200. His archers did solid, 130, 129, 144 on a late Carthaginian hoplite. Then Reaper did the same thing as over dramatic nerd. He really went quality over quantity, and I really think that really hurt them. Had he had a couple less of these tribal warriors and a couple more cheaper units, really think that he would have done some better, just more units to use, more flexibility. Well, guys, that's it. I think it's the end of my first battle replay. I hope that you guys learned something. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I'd really appreciate the likes and the comments. Ask me anything you want. Tell me what you thought. I'd really appreciate it. So, you guys have a good one.